Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Esports Weekly. I'll be your host, not Aggro. Aggro's off this week. He's dealing with some family stuff. Having a great time, though. Good stuff, fun in the sun. It's summertime. Somebody's got to take a vacation. Not us. We've got things going on here. Plenty of predictions. I get to show you how wrong Aggro's going to be throughout the week. Yeah. We're going to talk console. We're going to talk minor league. We're going to have some fun. And then later on, I don't get to fight Finch this week. This time it's going to be totally up against Finch.
Is it a real fight? Is it a real fight?
This time it just might be.
Yes, I'm excited.
Let me
a good one.
Let me introduce you to my co-hosts.
My money's on Tolly to start with, and then Finch will just smother him and kill him. That's what I'd do. So,
where is this taking place, by the way?
Hopefully on the casual set.
Monday, Bloody Monday, I guess. This is Hindu Man. That's Taco. Nice and short and simple. So it's been a fantastic week.
Did he just call you short and simple? Is that what just happened?
That's not what
I don't know. I have to swivel my chair every time I look to face you guys, so you got to keep that in mind
just
also.
Called her short and simple. Nice and short and simple. That's what you said about Taco. You did.
I said that about the day, but
sorry.
This is what happens. You know when you have a substitute teacher and you try to throw them off their game?
have fun.
That's exactly
That's
what's
what
going
I'm doing.
on here.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's get down to business. Let's take a look at what we did last week, week number 5. Some people were right, some people were wrong. At the end of the day, the teams were all right. Shout-outs to Mouse Sports, actually, beating Team Dignitas on Tuesday. That was really interesting. Enjoyed that one a lot.
And Trifecta as well. Space Station Gaming on Friday was also a good one. I don't think you got to see that one, Taco, because you were swiveling your head around stupidly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was out of commission with that car accident next spring.
Yeah. I'm making jokes about Taco having a car accident. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah, let's actually get real. So Hindu is just making fun of Taco this entire time. Taco, you actually, something real happened.
Oh, he is the savage guy.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
how
kind
we
of
know
to be
him.
expected.
Yeah.
That's what I do, right?
But so you're good though. You got into an accident. You're good now.
Yeah, I'm straight. Other than this whole.
Well, you're very straight.
This whole turning
If
thing.
you notice, she's using her hands to turn herself on the desk every time now. So this should be fun.
It's the forearms now. It's the forearms game. They'll never be able to tell the difference.
So gains. That's what it is.
There it is. There it is.
Keep working out.
Yeah. That's working out. That's one thing that's working out. One thing that's not working out. SK Gaming. What has been going on with the black and white here?
It's just been a bit of a rough split in general. I think Season 5 has been particularly difficult for these guys because not only has the competition steadily been ramping up over time, but you also had the consideration that they really haven't felt like they've really all sifted into the half devil being picked up into the support role. And I don't think that's necessarily a half devil problem so much as it is the team kind of just struggling to find their own footing in the meta.
Sure.
They need to look at this their team as a whole and go, okay, if we don't find wins in fall split, it's time to call it a day. That's where I'm at with this team. These guys may need to just break apart and go again. The gap in EU is just too big between them and everybody else, even though the gap is smaller than we've seen previously.
Do you think it's one or two players, or do you think it's the team just needs to blow up?
I don't know.
I think the players are fine for the most part. I think the main issue is that they just don't seem to have the same sort of synergy that we've come to expect from a lot of the other European teams. I mean, even Obey, despite their struggles, have had the games and the sets all together that have made us have reconsiderations about whether or not this team has the synergy in question.
I just don't think it's got the leadership on that team. That's the problem there.
Yeah?
Yeah, maybe they've got the shot calling, but not the leadership where they're all on the same page and maybe they don't trust each other enough. It just comes across really strange every time you watch
You know, it's interesting. I think it's much more simple than that. I think actually these teams, this team doesn't need leadership, and I'm cautious with that statement. I think a lot of teams need leadership. I think a lot of these guys can sort of self-drive. Honestly, I think it's simple. I think Fails isn't doing his job. I think at the end of the day, this is a jungler-driven league, and all of the teams that we've seen be successful, even if that success is fleeting, has been in the jungle, and Fails shows up 2 times a split.
SK as well, though, take into account that this team, from my point of view, is that when they're in the game, in the middle of the throes of the game, they can make really good shot calls. And that feels like the team is going, hey, we can do the fire giant and get it and find a small win off that. Problem is that they need someone purposefully doing this the whole time, and I just don't think they have that. Whether it should be Fails, Lobster, Funballer, one of the experienced ones, Half Devil stepping in, someone's going to do it, and it's taken too long to really find that field. If someone is doing it now, it's not showing.
Sure.
It feels a little bit more like there's maybe 1 or 2 voices that'll throw out an idea, but there won't be 100% command execution on it.
There's no conviction.
So is there hope for the fall split at all whatsoever?
At the current rate, it's hard to say because you never really know what kind of transitions can take place between a summer and a fall split. Maybe some sort of roster apocalypse does end up happening during that bridge
Let
era.
me put it this way.
I mean, speaking
good enough to make a Worlds run? No. That's where I'm kind of at. I don't think there'll be enough turnaround in one split to get the Worlds run this year. Maybe there's enough improvement that takes them into Season 6.
The pros do
But
turn
then we're talking
up
about
in
Season
fall split.
6.
They do turn up in fall split.
Well, yeah.
I just think in comparison to the rest of Europe, though, it's hard to call SK over Dignitas, Rival, Energy, I mean, even Obey.
Tom's point there as well about, like, will they pros turn up in fall split? Yeah, well, all the pros are going to turn up in fall split, which means that SK is still going to be where they are.
I think if all the stars align, we want them in Magical Christmas Land, and Fails winds up being a top 10 jungler, we see SK hit 4th place.
I'm happy to eat my words too. You know what I mean? Like as like
it's always fun to be
analysts,
proven wrong.
we always like to be proven wrong. We're not trying to go out there and go, this is going to be it, and that's the end of it. If they turn around and play well, we'll call it out. But I don't see it.
I'd like to see Funball and Fails do well. I like those guys. I just don't think that they can do well given their circumstances. North America, Trifecta. This is sort of the other side. SK Gaming, we all kind of like, yeah, oh, sorry, buddy, like, rest in peace. Trifecta, on the other hand, raised from the dead. I mean, this team looked like they were having some troubles, and then they swap out. They call up a minor league player, Paul. Zapman's here, and now they're winning against top teams. Listen, land this summer, probably not happening, but fall time, Taco, talk to me about Trifecta.
I think that this is the perfect bridging period for Trifecta, and they have really been taking advantage of it. They tried out Met Yankee. It wasn't the smoothest fit, so then they throw Zapman back into that Hunter role. With Paul being the mix-up, I think that Zapman might actually be that leadership perspective that they really needed to keep Paul in tow, because one of the main issues that Paul has always been talked about to have amongst the competitive scene is just the fact that he doesn't have a ton of player discipline. I think he really toned it back throughout the entirety of the summer split. At the start, he was a little bit more aggressive, and he still managed to maintain his aggression while also making sure to keep himself in check, and I think that just came as a direct result of that experience from members like Zapman on his team. Even Mask, I think, is a seasoned player now to know a little bit better to be able to try and control his mid laner or bring him back in tow.
I'm really impressed with what Paul's been able to do. It reminds me a lot of when you see minor league players, I'm going to do the sports thing, sorry, pulled up to baseball, right? Because the jump in, I think, play level between the SML and the Pro League is huge. And Paul kind of existed in between that in-between gap. So he was able to pub stomp at the lower level, but once he came up, he had to reel it back. Game 1 and Game 2, I saw him swing for the fences every time he had a chance. Now kind of pulled it back, and I think that allows him and Zapman to sort of, Zapman's like, I used to be that guy. Reel it back. It helped. It worked for me. And I think there's a lot of leadership on there to kind of go back and forth.
Trifecta as well. Let's take into account this was a warm-up split for fall. That was the whole game plan with this team. Was like, hey, we've made roster changes. We're not going to do well this split. Have they found a groove towards the end? Yeah. Don't be upset if you're a Trifecta fan right now. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, like they found that groove and they can pass it on. I think Zap getting kicked off the team for him and it gave him a slap in the face of like, hey, you can't just rest on your laurels anymore. You will get replaced. Just being tenured doesn't do shit for you these days. I don't know why I swore.
It can be revitalizing.
I'm sorry, but I was really serious on that point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's no joke though. It is very revitalizing. I think sometimes for some of the more seasoned players like Zapman, he's been here since the very beginning. It's easy to experience burnout every now and then. I think that was starting to become a little bit of a factor.
I can agree.
He gets kicked off a Trifecta, remembers how much he wants this, how much he wants to stay as a pro player for the main roster, and that's what brings back the Zapman that we've seen perform in the past.
I just don't hope they burn out before fall split with how they're playing now. That's my one concern is like the little bit of downtime into fall and then come back in fall and go, oh, we're just back to being mid-table.
I don't know.
Again,
I think with the new roster they can't. I mean, and you know, watching even the Zapman stream when that week that he was kicked off, there was something else there. And old Zapman was also very competitive and didn't really lose much. And I think I don't know, Trifecta I think is the real deal. I think this is a potential top team when it comes down to fall time. A lot of these teams, like we said, everybody's gotten better throughout Season 5, so it's definitely a nice look for these guys going forward. Week number 6, the final week of the summer split.
It is.
Very, very interesting. It's been all over the place. This is what we've looked at for the past 5 weeks. We'll start off with North America, United on top, defending world champs, playing like it, Space Station number 2, and then there's this whole mess in the middle with Splice, Trifecta, and sometimes LG and sometimes Counterlogic Gaming.
So basic over in North America, only really Splice, Space Station, E United are in the running to make it to LAN.
Yeah.
Basically because E United can't be caught, so they've already qualified. And Trifecta's differential is just too much for them to catch Splice or Space Station if they were to qualify.
A Trifecta need like all of the stars to align, a bit of a miracle situation to occur, and I think it was Splice also who's still in contention. For
Splice
me,
up.
it's Luminosity who can really play spoiler this week to anybody. I think that if Luminosity can really just work their way in there and kind of maybe look for some upsets, then that might lead Splice to be in a bit of an uncomfortable position.
Europe, a lot more of a mess here. You can see top 2 teams basically tied through, despite some losses in differential. Energy, Rival, Dignitas. I mean, all of these squads can somehow make it.
Take into account, though, that he says wins
Sorry,
and losses
SK.
there. There's no played on that at the moment, but there's 8 games for Energy, which means they've got 2 weeks. Every team will play 10 games. Rival Dig come into this week with only 1 game to play, and that makes Obey have a small little shot at this too, especially if those teams lose. And Energy could, well, I think Energy are probably going to qualify at this point. I'm not really worried about Energy, but they could play spoiler to some of the other teams.
And that's where that set where Mouse managed to topple Dignitas really starts to come into effect. Dignitas probably kicking themselves. But how far can you really feel bad about it, considering that Mouse has looked better than ever?
That was the next thing, and we're gonna go on to our predictions, but I want to touch on that right quick. Mouse also a team on the up and up. Real quick, guys. I mean, sort of like the trifecta conversation. Are they real?
I'd bode more for them than what I would for trifecta.
Really?
Really.
Wow. Why is that?
I feel as though trifecta, there's still a few more cogs that kind of need to come into place before things are completely smooth. But for Mouse, I think that they're already 90% of the way there. The other 10% that's missing, it's just the experience off of Spudio.
Can we take it? Yeah, take into account like the fall split. Spring split. Nothing really came out of Mouse with those changes. They removed Jermaine from the roster. Spudio comes in, and the team gets a new lease of life. Hopefully that carries through, because at the moment, like they're seeing everything's going up and getting stronger. You know, like they're looking better throughout their games. I hope with Spudio on this roster into fall, this continues and they can make a run.
Yeah, I'm with you.
They did it last year.
Yeah, I think the mouse trap is going to be something people are going to have to avoid.
Really, mousetrap?
I've been doing that for like 3 weeks now.
It's the first time I've heard it. I don't want to hear it again.
Come on, man. It's all about the cheese, baby. Dig versus SK is the first matchup we're going to take a look at. It's going to be very interesting. Let's take a look at how you guys did last week, though. I'm sitting in for aggro, so I'm going to brag if I'm on top.
Well, we were all the same.
Yeah, baby. Pittsburgh rules. Yins. I'm aggro. I like Fallout Boy. That's Finch.
We all had the exact same votes last week.
We
None
did.
of us were different.
Can we notice how close I've climbed, though, from 35% week 1 to aggro 70? No, aggro was like 65% week 1. I have climbed up to within 4%, and this week I'm on some shenanigans.
You will never get this.
Never got what?
My number 70. I'm up on top. You will never get this.
Oh, I was confused where you were going. Then I'm like, okay.
Well, we could change every single one of Aggro's predictions
score
to all
is
being the wrong ones.
Very rare when after
and
that's
you would
on
never
top.
know.
I'm not used to it, you know? Yeah, are you going to make up Aggro's predictions this week? Is that what the game plan is? Or
No.
did he send them in?
Aggro sent me his own predictions,
we
and I'm
change
going to
them?
make fun of them.
We'll change
okay.
them.
We can change them.
after the fact.
Okay.
That way, to make sure he comes
I'm down.
in
This
third.
I'm down
That's
for
just between
sabotage.
us and the fans, so it's like no one's going to care. I mean, no one likes Aggro anyway, so it's okay, right? Like, it's fine.
Well, let's take a look at the games. Week number 6, the final week for the summer split. Dignitas and SK and Space Station and Splice. That's what we'll see today. Of course, that's at 3 p.m. later on this afternoon. Yeah. And you'll notice there is no Wednesday. It still exists.
It does exist.
It does exist, but we're giving you the day off. July 4th is a national holiday here in America. It's when we beat up Hindu Man every single year, and everybody celebrates that. So what we're doing is one of the days on Tuesday, one of the games on Thursday, and we're going to start at 1 p.m. for Tuesday and Thursday, so don't miss those early matches.
I got engaged on July 4th on purpose.
Did you?
So I never have to worry about July 4th being a terribly annoying day, because I'm like, it's okay. The queen got one back for her own, so it's okay.
That just
reclaimed one again.
That just means we all go to Hindu Man's house while he's having an intimate dinner and launch off fireworks.
Intimate dinner on July 4th? No. I'm sat on the couch watching English TV, thinking of the good old days.
Dig versus SK.
Dig, let's move on.
Yeah.
Are we all good with that? Are you good with that?
I got Dignitas, yes.
Yeah, really? No,
Yeah.
shock.
It,
wow.
it was a neck injury, not a brain injury.
SSG. Woo! Dignitas. As soon as production is ready to go, we'll move on. Splice, SSG. This one definitely a little bit more nuanced, but kind of lopsided still. Space Station Gaming up on top. Splice has been uptrending, but still has some troubles finding wins.
Well, this one's a bit more tricky because of how Trifecta performed against Space Station Gaming last week. And on paper, I'm like, well, I'm going to vote with what I expect, but I can't count Splice out here. I do think Splice have a shot today. if they play well. Like, and that's really stupid to say if they play well, but like
Sure.
that's like any
I know what
team,
you mean.
right?
I know what you mean.
Well, both teams need this set. Space Station need it in order to make sure that they can
Yeah.
try and clinch for LAN, and Splice need it because if they beat Space Station here,
They can make
then
LAN.
they start making their run for LAN a reality. And I think with those implications happening, a Space Station are very unlikely to drop the set under those circumstances.
We just watched them lose, and Aggro here actually voted SSG, but I think that's just because he's biased and friends with Barracuda.
Fanboy.
Yeah, he's a fanboy over here. I like Splice here, honestly. If I had a choice, I would pick Splice.
And I can see that, but I'm gonna go with SSG for the safer option here today, as you can see. But I think it's 2-1.
I think that's pretty fair to call.
That's very fair.
That's very fair to call. Going all 3 games, definitely can see that happening. But I lean just a little bit more towards Space Station.
Don't forget, Splice are out of their team house now. They're back at home, so
That's
we'll
why.
see if there's any
That's why
lasting
SSG
remains.
done. Period. Over.
Rival and Obey is a European match we're going to see here today. This one used to be really tight. This one used to be, I don't know who's going to win, flip a coin. I think Rival right now are just a little bit better than Obey.
I think a lot of it just also depends on how Raffer's viewing the set, from
Fair.
my personal take, because there's something about energy that I don't think Raffer will ever let himself fall victim to the clutches of energy in his life. But when it comes to other teams, Rival, they've been a top competitor for a while now. This would be a huge set for Obey to take over them, but the likelihood of it, I'd still just have to give Rival just that little bit more of an oomph in comparison.
So this is the final week, right?
Yes.
Aggro's still beating me in the win column, and I predict that Aggro went with Rival here, and I've gone with Obey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Aggro did go Rival.
I had a feeling. I'm gambling a few this week of like, I can take the Thunder at the end. That's how we play this. Yes, I am the gambler. That's true. But I do think Obey have a real shot at this. And it's not me just saying, I just want it to be right because I beat Aggro. But I legit think Obey may have a shot this week.
I think it's very real. I think it's very real. Aggro, I'll go with Aggro here. I think Rival is certainly a nice team, or I think Rival can do it. By default, probably Victors. Mouse, Energy. Again, another matchup that used to be really, really simple to kind of go for, and now not so much. Mouse on the up and up. I will be honest, though. Energy. This looks like old Energy these days.
Mouse are on the up and up, but Energy, they are a beast to be reckoned with right now. And that is the primary reason why I would definitely have to favor Energy in this matchup. Mouse, as strong as they have looked in the past few weeks, I'm not certain that it's going to be quite enough just yet to take on Energy.
I do think Mouse are going to give some trouble towards Energy, because Energy are probably going to under expect from them. You know what I mean? They're going to expect them not to be very good in this set and be a little bit surprised. They're going to get caught off guard once or twice, but I still think Energy take this set.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees this one is all Energy, and I would have to say yes. I think Mouse is on the up and up. They are my personal favorite team to watch right now. I love to see them improve, and I think we're going to see another match where Mouse learn things, and you will literally see them apply them in the next match. But Mouse is on the up and up, and so is Energy, and Energy just started a couple of steps ahead of them anyway, so you're not catching up. I think that's kind of what we're looking at here. Don't forget, no Wednesday broadcast, so this match at the end of Tuesday. This will be E United versus Trifecta.
Yeah, this is an interesting one again. Still don't think Trifecta do it, though. Trifecta are technically out of contention here. E United, they've already technically qualified at this point, but I still think E United win this set. Both teams not really in the running. Like, that's the way I look at it. It's like this is kind of a dead game to both these teams in a weird way of looking at it.
Game.
In a weird, obviously, A United can extend their league, guarantee themselves #1 by taking this. So that's the real up there.
Sure.
Trifecta can put some pressure on some other teams, but it's only going to be standings that change really for them and where they finish in the split.
I'll be straight. I think the Trifecta could win this one. Aggro, of course, chose Polar Bear Mike's team, E United, because he's another fanboy and, you know, BFF, AE. But I think Trifecta have what it takes to really win this one.
I think Trifecta can definitely take a game, possibly cause some trouble in a secondary match, but
Not seal it.
in the long run, I don't know if they're going to be able to close it out, and that's the big thing to me. Winning one game doesn't win you the set necessarily, and E United, if they do drop a game, I think that's where we see them just come out and immediately look to just, like, stomp.
Yeah.
Trifecta and Mouse are the same team
Yeah.
right now.
I feel
for
that.
all intents and purposes this week, Trifecta
feel
and Mouse
that.
are the same.
The next matchup is a 7,000-pound gorilla versus Anatoly. I'm kidding. It's Energy versus SK, but I think we know how this one works out. You think Anatoly can beat a 7,000-pound gorilla?
How many
Finch doesn't
shots has he
know.
had?
Anatoly, like 4 shots of Rocky deep.
Has he been on the dance floor yet?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the bear.
Yeah.
Has he been on the dance floor yet?
Oh, that's important.
Oh, wait, you said gorilla, didn't you?
Yeah, I said mid dance floor.
Mid
dance floor.
He's warmed
4
up.
shots deep. Can Anatoly beat a gorilla?
He's warmed up. I'm with Toly. He's warmed up. He's got his groove going. It's in his system. The blood's flowing. He's down.
He'd probably try to take his chain off and put it around the gorilla's neck for all we know.
He'll start casting taiko drums thinking it's the banana skin again or something like that. That's what'll happen.
Yeah. I say, yep, all 3 of us agree. Anatoly. Oh, yeah, there was a match there. Energy beat SK. Energy beat SK. I think that's pretty easy. Obey Mouse will be a little bit next. So Obey and Mouse, again, this is straight up. This could be a very important set for Mouse to set a tone for the fall split.
Sure, but it's also a potential one for Obey to like continue trying to get to LAN and hope for the results elsewhere and things. I've got to do the mental math to work out exactly if Obey can make it. I believe they can. And I've got them down beating both, but I still think Rival come out on top on game differential versus Rival. Mouse, again, the trifecta of EU and trifecta the Mouse of NA is the big thing here. I think this will be a good game for Mouse to get, sure, but I think it's going to be important for Obey to win this one, so they're going to put everything they've got into this.
I wasn't really sold either way for both of these teams because we've seen Mouse once before take on Obey and come out victorious. So it's just really difficult to try and gauge things off of past performances because you never know what can happen throughout the weeks that ultimately changes things. And I think that's what made it really complicated for me to view it as. But in the long term, I just had to give it a little bit over to Mouse to play spoiler here for Obey.
Really?
I could see them playing spoiler.
Aggro went Mouse as well, and for once, I think Aggro kind of nailed it here. I think Mouse has been more consistent in the past couple of weeks than Obey. I think Mouse has just had better stats, and you know what? Let's throw all the numbers out. The eye test, Mouse looks like a better team. You're the one, oh baby.
I'm gonna win. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be Aggro.
This is Hindu is me from like weeks 1 and 2, where I was giving it all to Obey, and then it was just consecutive L's being tossed to me.
I told you, I'm gambling for the win across the whole split. And right now, if Aggro's wrong on that set and the one earlier on, and I've got Obey on both of those, if Obey come up big this week, I'm gonna fine them. I don't know how. I'm gonna find a way to find the Obey team if they lose these games.
I think Hindu has done the same amount of math on this sort of caster contest that he has done for the actual league itself.
This is like when you're trying to figure out what's the lowest grade you could possibly make on a final in order to pass your class.
D's get degrees, baby.
That's what I'm after. Yeah, it's the same thing. As long as you do the test, it's okay, right? You still pass.
CLG versus LG should be an interesting one. What?
Is it CLG versus Splice? No.
No.
Wait, I don't even know what I picked here now. What are the last 2 games? I've got CLG Splice.
I'm going to be so right. I'm going to win next week. I don't even know who's playing.
I'm in trouble.
So this is this is Wednesday's game. Plays the.
Okay, to be fair about this one though, originally I submitted for Luminosity. I wrote it down at least. I didn't like hard submit it just yet. As
wrote
Luminosity.
LG.
I wrote Luminosity first.
You sat there
no.
and went, LG's looking good.
Hear me out though. Luminosity seems like the perfect spoiler team for guys like CLG.
I think Weekend does want to beat up Heroin. I think that's true.
Sure.
I just think that Luminosity have a tendency to take the most off-the-wall sets that no one really expects coming. I don't necessarily view it as like top teams that they're going to overwhelm and destroy, but these middle-of-the-pack kind of struggling to find their top rhythm groove again kind of teams like CLG, that has been them to a T. And this is a huge set for Luminosity. It could have some very large implications heading into the fall split for them, at least keeping the team motivated and thinking, yes, we still have that same opportunity to compete without undergoing any of those roster changes. Because I do feel as though Luminosity have definitely had it the worst out of everybody this split between changing all the rookies.
Still went CLG.
But
I still went CLG in the end, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Weekend only brought you so far.
Yeah, like I said, I wrote it down, but I didn't hard submit it.
He soloed the Titan.
Put it this way, LG, right? Last split, we all went, they're not going to do anything. They did things, right? They reversed what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So this split was going to be the one where they look a lot better and they get ready for the fall. Well, no, it went the downtrend way. So everything that we said about them in spring is correct in summer, and everything we would have said about them in summer was correct in spring. So now we're back to talking crap about them again through summer because it's the same as what we expected in spring.
Like I said, I put down CLG.
It's true,
I won't be
That's
upset if I see Luminosity win this because I think that Luminosity have just as much likelihood to win this as CLG.
No.
What's our next match, Indu?
CLG Splice.
There we go.
I got there. I'm sorry. I forgot about the schedule change. I'm like, why is it? Did you say the wrong one? Okay.
We're a team here, homie. I got you.
Yeah, okay. We're a
Bam.
real team.
Will it make you feel better if we make fun of Finch?
No.
Really?
No, because he'll cry.
Oh.
Should probably do it anyway.
Is he crying? You can't even see.
I can't turn.
Turn your chair. I'll turn
Hold
the chair
on.
for you. Is he crying? No, he's smiling.
No, he's waiting.
CLG Splice. The boys are home. They're away from their beach house. CLG never had a beach house. How does this one go? I think this one's tight.
I agree.
Splice and Trifecta have kind of been on the same page for me for a long time. I think that CLG, Splice, Trifecta have all just been kind of battling it out to determine who's going to remain in that like 4th, 5th slot placement, and then who's going to work their way into 3rd, 2nd, 1st potentially.
Like a baby triangle?
It has been a little bit of a baby triangle, but I do feel as though Splice are probably going to end up taking this one, just if I had to base it off of their summer performance.
And it's more like a pentagram.
Yeah.
Like, really, it is more like a pentagram with how many, like, different wins, and then it goes around in a circle of wins, and then on top of that, there's, like, crosses out. It's a pentagram. That's kind of how it feels. I think CLG win this.
Yeah?
Yeah. Did you
Really
go CLG?
interesting.
I went for Splice.
Yeah,
I went for Splice.
You went
Yeah.
for Splice? No, we went...
Aggro and CLG.
Okay, that's fine.
Aggro
We're
and
even now.
CLG. You guys
I was
agreeing.
so I've been picking my things all week, right, based off what I predict the idiot aggro would pick, and then going for the gamble to try and win it all, and then because he's been BMing every single week.
He has been
Every
actually.
week he's been acting like
Well,
he knows
because he
what he's
got really
talking about.
lucky in like week 3, where we got bamboozled by like multiple upsets.
I was so
Yeah.
right in week 3. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah, I
that's
couldn't
pretty accurate.
even be like
impression.
I love
upset because
mayonnaise.
you enjoy seeing the upsets occur because it's like, wow, it's awesome seeing this team beat X team, but even the unexpected can be a little bit.
I just want to see him sad again, you know? I want to see
Yeah.
him back to
I'm down.
being how he used to be.
I'm down.
that beat down right at
You want-
Tasker.
you want-
Beat down right
You want to
yeah.
beat him up when he comes back?
No, I'm not. I'm on a green card. I can't do that.
You want to get Tolly to beat him up when he comes back?
Totally could do that.
Yeah, there
Totally
it
could do
is.
that.
There it
That'll
is.
work.
Trifecta versus LG is the last match we're going to see next week, at least on the Pro League status.
Yeah.
And again, 2 teams that I think used to be close, and one just Trifecta inched up, and now they're just a better team.
Yeah, I think Trifecta definitely win this one against LG this week. Funny enough, obviously, this is week 6, so you get to see the repeats of basically like week 3 when all these
Yeah.
teams played against each other. And I have a good, strong feeling that Trifecta are just going to put LG to bed. It may be a bit of a weird game, I want to say, Taco. I have a feeling like this could be really long and drawn out because neither side are really playing for anything, and LG won't want to lose to Trifecta, and Trifecta will be like, well, we're going to win, but let's just have fun while doing it. You know?
Remember all that stuff I said about Luminosity versus CLG? That's the exact same feelings that I had with Trifecta versus Luminosity, but I went with a little bit of a gut feeling on this one and just gave it to Luminosity. I don't know what it is, but I don't feel like Lumi are going to end it with just one set win this split.
No, I feel it. I think it's tough to look at a scheduled broadcast and say Keegsmate's going to lose all these games. It's very tough. There's a lot of talent on that LG team, and I don't think it started going in the spring and then dropped off during the summer. But I think there is something to be said there, Taco. I'm not going to laugh at your LG pick here.
I will say as well, LG and SK. I mentioned this about SK the other week, but both those teams are still good enough to beat anyone in the minor league. Hands down, they will wipe the floor with any of the teams in the minor league.
I love it.
No problem. It's a big difference when you look at the league going, wow, these teams are bad. Well, they're still really damn good players. They are great players, and they will beat anyone in the minor league. Just because they're losing the Pro League, it's because the Pro League is so hard.
Yeah.
Pro League is just incredibly stiff competition. I mean, we say it every single year for a reason, but the competition really does get better per year.
It's the first year that I've ever felt that I couldn't get on a pro team. That was a good bit. I couldn't hold it. I'm sorry.
But you could, you know what?
But you could
I
coach
bet you
us.
could coach a team of diamonds to worlds.
Well, I mean, Alpha Jackal did, so it's not that difficult, is it? Let's be honest.
Let's talk minor league, shall we, real quick? Week number 5 was a lot of fun looking backwards. Taco, you've been talking a lot about the minor league off air. Talk to me about your favorite spot last week.
It's hard to not give it to Very Nice to me because Wowie and Moswell, those two are just 2 peas in a pod. I have been loving watching that combination, especially ever since they were back in Noble when they were competing in the Pro League. Then everything dropped from 8 teams to 6, and so they wound up being in a little bit of a of a in-between stage. It was really awkward, I think. Moswell took a little bit also to really find a team that he really wanted to be on. I think WoWie kind of suffered from the same thing, where there's always going to be roster swaps happening more frequently, I should say, in the minor league than what you'd expect in the pro league, especially since we lock that nowadays. But WoWie has always felt to me like a player that could compete at the pro level, and I don't think that it's a mistake necessarily that he's still stuck in the minor league.
Yeah.
But if any North American teams were by chance wondering if they needed a different hunter, I mean, this is probably the first place you look.
And on top of that, I mean, very nice to me. Someone coined it. I don't know which caster said it, but the SPL waiting room. I don't want to give any credit to whoever said that, but the SPL waiting room was the correct use of that phrase, because that exactly is what that minor league team is. I think they could have any member of that team fit onto an SPL squad within reason of them fitting in for the right position.
I actually love that this is happening in the minor league, because this is kind of what, and this might defy what the players and the fans want or have been used to. Because historically in SMITE, we've seen teams.
Yeah.
You get 4 people, you team up, and then you succeed as a team, as a unit. With the minor league, now we're seeing individuals being lifted on a platform. And I like that for 2 reasons. 1, I think it allows players to sort of flow. And 2, I think it's where the league has grown.
Sure.
Where our teams are set.
Same thing is though, nothing stopping like SK Gaming or LG next split dropping their entire team and picking up the whole of the SML team.
Very
There's
true.
nothing stopping that.
Yep.
So teams can advance together if one of the sponsors want to do that with their team. It's their team.
Yeah.
And that's something massive that minor league teams always have to keep in mind whenever they're coming out for their performances in those sets. I mean, some of them might not be taken as seriously, but then you have to always remember in the back of your mind, this is how you're showing yourself off to the pro league. These are like, those players watch every single one of those matches, if
People
not
watching.
The vast majority of them, because they are very interested in seeing, is there anybody that might have a chance to be better?
Let's take a look at the players that are taking the field this week in the minor league. And as you said, Taco, I mean, this is an audition every time you go out to play. Optimus Gang has looked pretty good up on top in Europe.
So I'm just excited because I managed to. I spoke to the admins because we were planning on broadcasting the very nice to meet Armada set, which actually means something this week. So I suppose because I was supposed to be played offline, I got that changed out because we all got bored of seeing Space Station Gold get dumpstered for that game, because obviously that wouldn't have been a game that really mattered here. So now we get to see Very Nice to Me versus Armada. It's the last game of the minor league on Friday.
And welcome to the league, Armada, as well.
Yeah, of course.
Recent acquisition, Armada. Sanguine also jumping in here. Cool to see some of the new organizations taking a look at the minor league.
And that's going to be a rough one also, because if I recall correctly, Armada, if they lose that set, I mean, that's it for them. Their only point for land contention is to win both of their sets this week.
But Very Nice to Me, obviously top of the shop. There is a very small chance that Armada can catch them, and what a change that has been from the spring split.
Yeah, for sure.
Where Very Nice to Me just dominated so far. It was like, well, week 4, pack your bags, we're going a lot. That's kind of how it was. But now they're having to wait to week 6. So it's good to see.
Really exciting. Definitely want to catch that one. That's going to be on Friday. Don't forget, Tuesday and Thursday, we're taking over Wednesday's games. 1 p.m. start for SPL. Don't want to miss that one.
Yeah.
We saw some good plays. Here's Finch to talk about them.
Thanks, Tom. Now it's time for Finch to drive. Has there been a difference, by the way, Chad? I mean, today just feels smoother, doesn't it? Can't quite put my finger on whatever it is, but something just feels, just feels a little bit smoother here today as we go into this set. But Hindy's been a little bit more savage as well. There's been a lot that's been going on here with the SPL, but we are ready to go into these top plays. There really have been some really cool plays have been happening throughout this week, so I went ahead and selected 3 of my own favorites this time, since Finch is the one that's driving for the top plays section. This first one that we're going to be taking a look at, this is going to be Cuvo Fred on the Circuit. And I mean, Cuvo Fred, I mean, what more could you ask for? This guy continues to be a top-tier jungler, and Circuit continues to be a really good pick. Cobra's Kiss into the Death Bane. Give me that double kill. Cuvo Fred gonna take it, continuing to show that he's up there at the top in terms of mechanical ability on the Circuit. Nice play there from Cuvo Fred for Dignitas. And once again, you can't count those guys out, man, because they'll make plays like that. So I know they may have been slowing just a little bit, but as long as Cuvo Fred does things like that, they could certainly still make it. Next one, number 2, is going to be Baskin on Nox. And I really want to talk about this play here because some of y'all at home seem to think apparently you can just do this, but I don't think so. The SPL caliber clearly adjusts the ultimate before the dash even comes out, reads where the dash is going ahead of time, and gets it with the explosion. That sets up the kill. Baskin continues to be clearly nuts, clearly insane. Put the guy in an asylum because he's just too good. I know I looked at my note card. None of that's written here. As again, just as notes. Remember, totally blew up my spot before, showing everybody that my card just had notes on it, so everyone already knows that I'm just using this for show. Number one play, though, that is going to be Variety getting the steal on that Zhang Kui. What a great play where he's able to come in and not just get the kill, not just steal the gold Fury, but my man is going to survive throughout this play, and a lot gets dumped on him, but kind of just showing that Zhang Kui's here to play in a pretty real way by taking that gold Fury, getting the card out as well, exercising his demons, if you will. Cubo Fred coming in to help out. Cubo Fred made his way into 2 clips. That guy's good. That guy is good at the game. Variety is going to survive here at the very end. Goes back in. He was out and goes back in. Even Spam laughing a little bit. You earned it with that one, I think. Please go ahead and let him hear it with that VEL, VET, whichever one you want to use. If you can make plays like that, feel free to go for it. Now, those are our top plays, you know, some of the better plays that we saw throughout the week, but they're not all good plays, chat. Not all the time. Sometimes the plays don't go the way that you want to. And in this case, we're going to be talking a little bit here about SK Gaming, where it looked like maybe they had a chance. They were going up against a rival. Things were very close. But in the end, this one kind of ends up getting away from them, chat. And it just feels like the way that things go for SK. Ice Baby manages to go back up through the jungle. Yeah, that's aggro right there on the screen. You heard it in Human Rat Tosker. Sneaks up through the jungle, able to go attack the Titan. Meanwhile, everybody else is chasing Collis, I believe, in the solo lane. Yeah, look, they got him. You know, Collis dies, so I don't know. Maybe that's your consolation prizes. Unfortunately, Ice Baby, along with that Fire Mini Wave, was able to go strip the game away from them. And it just kind of feels like the split that they've had, where SK just kind of are right there at the precipice and can't quite finish it off. But that's been Finch here on the top plays into the top fails. SK Gaming was indeed that one that ended up failing. I know it's a lot better than Tom, right? Petition to have me stay on this slot. I'll be happy to do it for you, chat. But next up, we do have an interview going with Half Devil, the support that's come up instead. So we're going to let Tom go into that interview with him and hear some of his thoughts.
Hey, what's good, Half Devil? F. here. Thanks for joining us on Esports Weekly. I mean, first of all, flat out, just how you been, man?
Been a long wait. That's the right term to say. I was waiting for years to get back into competitive SMITE. Yeah. Finally happened.
Yeah, I mean, you were part of the original crew, right? I mean, launch tournament and before then you were playing very competitive.
At the launch tournament, I was a sub for C9. I was like, they were really hesitating if they should take me to the launch tournament as their support because I was just kind of fresh to the role. In the end, they decided to take Murder. From that land, like I became the support. So basically, it was like just really the start of me, the launch tournament as a competitive player.
And then from there, you sort of continued, but you had to step away, right? Tell us a little bit about why you took time off from SMITE.
That's a story. Like every person in Israel at the age of 18 or like after he graduates from school has to go to an army time, like serving of like 3 years basically. So when I knew I'm gonna need to serve or like basically serve, so I didn't want to commit to any big teams. You know, before Energy was made, Rafa actually asked me to join them as their support without adapting. Before adapting was even anyone knew about him, anything. He asked me to be the support. He'll be the jungle with Emil, Yaman, and Demi. And I said no. I told them no because I knew they need like a long-term support that would stay with them for over than a year. That like they basically do great things with them, and I knew that I can't fulfill that role. So I said no to the 2 times world champions.
Very, very selfless, man. That's a real mature decision to make. So just my hats off to you in general. But now coming out of that, right? You've served your time there. Congratulations, you're done. Now you're back into SMITE. I guess the last question about everything in between is how much SMITE were you actually able to play while serving?
Weekends basically. I would play I would normally go I would come back Thursday evening, so I would play like a bit of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it's like Sunday I'm not here already. So like basically a bit on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it's like the good thing is that I did play quite a lot on those time, even though it was like a very limited time. So I wouldn't be like completely. I wasn't like let's just say Badger that actually completely didn't touch the game for a couple of years and then like came back to the game and like everything is new to him.
Yeah.
I just needed like to take off the competitive rust, so sort of speech. Like I knew what I'm doing, the basic.
For sure. And you can see it. I mean, you went into the minor league and then immediately got called up, right, to the pro league. You have definitely, I think, improved SK from where they were at least from where I'm sitting. Your team has struggled, and that's absolutely the truth. Talk to me a little bit about SK and the feel inside. Are you guys, straight up, man, are you guys happy? Is this a problem? How bad are things in SK land right now?
Everyone right now take it quite lightly, I would say. I don't think anyone was expecting, like inside the team was expecting us to be first or second seed this split. I think we're all counting on the next split to be like where we show what we're worth mainly. We all knew this was gonna be a learning process. So.
Are there any specific steps that you guys are taking to really ensure that fall split's a little bit more exciting?
We're kind of trying. I'd say it's a general thing, but like we're trying all the gods, mainly like all the support, all the things, finding like what's really comfortable for us, and like just getting prepped sort of to just know what we can do, what we can't do, what we're most comfortable on. Because like we started pretty well, we split with every team, and then we went on a landslide. Never mind. Basically, at this point, like there's no getting any outside of like less seats, so
sure.
We're just like right now we're just trying to learn as much as we can and get prepared for the next split.
Yeah, I mean that's the best you guys can do. There's been a lot of focus on your team and everything, so the fall split, certainly hoping it's a little bit more successful for you and the team. Very happy to just see you back in the scene in general.
Thank you.
I think you're a really big source of positivity for everybody, and straight up, I just think you're a cool guy to hang out with. So hopefully you make it to land, man. I'm secretly, I'm an unbiased caster, I swear, but I'm secretly rooting for SK every step of the way. I like the org, I like the people, and I like you, man. So thanks again for your time. Is there anything you'd like to say before I let you go?
It's gonna be a long process, but SK are gonna come on top eventually.
Hell yeah, man. Love the positivity. Thanks again, Half Devil. I appreciate you.
Have a good day.
You too, man. You too.
Hey, it's me again. From me to me. God, that's usually why they put aggro here, I guess, right? Anyway, I'm joined here by my two friends. Well, one of my friends, Anatoly, and then John Finch is here as well.
Your
How you guys
replacement
doing?
eventually.
Oh,
When you fade away into nothingness.
Wow, that's too real, actually.
I don't know why I did that. I love you a lot, and I respect you a lot. I don't know why I did that.
I think Hindu Man is rubbing off on you already.
He's been extremely savage today.
You've been
really
here
is.
for less than a year, and
it's
I
already-
don't know what it is. It's just rubbing off.
I just want to, first and foremost, welcome back the goatee to your face. How's it
Thank
going?
you.
How's
Thank
it
you.
doing?
This is the evil mastermind twin
It is.
of Toly. So once in a blue moon, he comes out.
Is
to
that why
play.
you're ordering those sharks? Was it for your
Yes.
for your death
I have a
trap?
dungeon
Yeah,
where I
right.
put the good guys in because I'm
Right.
clearly the bad guy.
Right.
So today's
That
conversation
bit had legs,
topic,
by the way. That could've kept going.
No,
It had legs.
I don't want to talk. It
had wheels.
Today's conversation topic is really open-ended, and I think that reflects what's going on in Smite right now. So, what is the meta?
No, I think that's a good question. I know it sounds like just like a big sort of open-ended question, but I mean, there's a lot to be said, right?
What is the meta?
About what the meta is, and we were talking about this a little bit backstage, and what we think. And I know you were saying you think it's sort of at the team level, but I do think there is sort of a best way to do it, and the better teams kind of figure out what that is.
Sure.
And right now, it definitely seems like sustain is a big part of that. We've seen like these high clear compositions sort of become a part of that, right? So I think that some of it is team dependent, like Mouse are going to be Mouse, but at the same time, there's probably like a best hunter, a best guardian, a best soul laner, or at least from a select pool, and you kind of just pick which one you want to rock that game.
Let me specify before I toss over to you, Toly. Essentially, the meta is really open. It's hard to say what is an off-meta character. Virtually every god is viable. But at the same time, when something's weird, we know it, right?
Yeah.
So, talk to sort of that. What is off-meta? Should you go off-meta, etc.?
I think off meta is just basically teams doing their own individual identity, what works for them. The typical meta that you'll see is the most consistent win rating thing, like going non-typical glass cannon mage like Anubis or Morrigan in the solo lane, going for more traditional warriors, until teams finally realizing that, hey, sustain is pretty good. If you get a little bit of jungle pressure in your solo lane, you're going to be able to survive that, transition very well in the mid to late game, and start using your utility in your kit as opposed to being that beefy frontliner to control team fights a little bit better, which is why towards the end of the spring split, the meta eventually transitioned into the Sobex, the Athenas for the solo lanes, and because of the control that they provide instead of the warrior Kakolins and the Achilles that were so popular at the beginning of spring.
Well, I kind of came into this one with a little bit of a thesis, so I'm going to drop it and kind of ask you guys what you feel on it. I think that Smite used to be, and when you used to play Toli, there used to be it was a riddle that needed to be figured out, where you sat there and everybody banged their head against the wall, and then eventually somebody broke the meta, figured out what was the best, and that's just what won for a while until the meta changed, until a patch or whatnot happened. Nowadays, I think the meta is much less about the game itself and much more about the league, wherein teams have their play style. There's a lot of different play styles. Like we mentioned sustain, we saw late game hunters, we saw ability-based mid-game hunters, we saw the Aphrodites in the solo lane, less for the sustain. Now we're seeing them for the sustain. Mouse does their thing, LG does their thing, and it becomes less about trying to beat the meta that the game has presented and beat the meta that the teams have presented. Who are the most dominant teams? What is their strategy? And how do you approach that rather than how do you approach Smite?
I agree with you there, because teams that have their own individual identity goes very far, whether it's this split or in the next one. I'm looking at Splice individually, where they look for some personal invades at level 1 where they'll ignore both their middle lane, the solo lane, just to harass the enemy speed buff for so long. And teams have to adapt to it. Some teams are not used to where they're not farming consistently in the laning phase. And if you throw them off their game, who knows what's going to happen? It's a game of like seconds and milliseconds. So any single time you can get that slight edge, you get that camp extra, you're able to transition into a kill or maybe even forcing them to back. And then who knows? The Gold Fury could be open, Pyromancer. That's how teams like find those little openings, by throwing the opposition off guard.
Everybody's working on the late game. I think most teams look for the late game with their hunters at very least, and Splice going the opposite and going super early.
Well, we just saw Obey try and go very early, right? With their very unique start that they did where Raffer was kind of roaming around the map on the Circuit, and they were looking for the repeated very early buff invades. So I think that Obey is kind of a classic example of a team that maybe isn't exactly sure what their identity is right now, right? That isn't exactly sure what their meta is. And I think they're all good enough at the game to just win matches anyway, right?
I agree.
But that they're maybe are not at that point yet where they definitely know exactly what it is they want to be doing in the games, where their best strengths are. And that shows how important the team metas are, I think, because they are floundering a little bit by their standards.
And even with teams going for not early game metas such as Splice, going for more late game traditional style, they are still playing aggressive. They are still looking for those openings of red buff invades or blue buff invades. If there's a weakness on one side of the map, the team will not hesitate to strike and look for those invades. Trifecta has been really good about looking for those red buff invades. Mask has been on point every now and then once he has that momentum under himself. And then if they don't get that mid-game pressure, they just seem to kind of collapse in the late game. So Trifecta could definitely kind of boost themselves up towards that early to mid.
So I said that there really isn't, I don't think there's a best way possible to approach it. But who's playing the best right now? Who's the team to beat? Thus, what's the meta to beat right now?
I think, though, the meta is always about how teams adapt to the most recent patches. In the last 2 to 3 patches, I'm looking at tier specifically with the guard stance switch to disarm. That's going to be big for LAN. Tier has always been popular in the passive lands. Not so much in spring season 4 Masters, but season 5 Masters, but every other LAN it's been very popular. And I'm expecting that to be a thing. Apollo with the knock-up on his ultimate is going to be a thing.
Change, yeah.
Breastplate getting 100 gold increase is going to deter some soul laners from being mage. Chang'e can still be picked because of the bunny.
Are we saying goodbye to Aphrodite?
Aphrodite might be removed because of that. We're not going to see Baron Samedi at the LAN. He's not going to be allowed. So that's going to allow other teams to focus on other just changes. Artemis got hit with the 3 seconds to 1.5 second. And more importantly, I think magical ADCs with the changes to Demonic Grip and Telekines, with the addition to the Artemis nerf, could see a little bit more action there.
That's going to be very exciting. Finch, Are you putting your money on Kronos? Yes or no?
Maybe Freya. I keep saying I want to see Freya back. She's good.
I'm with
She's
it.
good. You know what I mean? That's what I think. You know how sometimes in your ranked games, it's better to ban stuff that your chat wants instead of the best things, just so that they are mentally in the game.
Yeah.
In a way, it's sort of like that in your SPL games, right? Instead of at the end going, man, did we blow that with our crazy picks, or did we give ourselves the best chance to win going into it? I think sometimes that mentality can kind of be a part of it.
Sounds good. I mean, I'm a Freya fan myself. I get made fun of, but I'm still a Freya fan myself. I'm a fan of weird stuff. You guys all know it. Great conversation on the meta. That's going to wrap it up here. But we have fun here every week. The Joe Bro Show puts on a great video, and I don't really know how to introduce this, so I'll just go with the lower third. There's a Waluigi in all of us.
Wow.
We'll get him with a knock-up. Just a tip was good enough to get the crocodile in range for the lurking in the waters.
You really feel comfortable saying just the tip for the doinkster? I don't know about all that.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt. Breathe that in and you can constantly taste the salt.
Yeah, that feels like the bully beating up on the nerdy kid. He didn't realize new kung fu or something, right? Like, he just turned around and, like, throat kicks him into a locker or something.
I got the power of God and anime on my side.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to meme, but...
Closest thing to aggro saying something intellectual for about 5 weeks, I guess.
That's actually true. Roasted aggro. Got it.
And Toasty. He's also played in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Not the Amazon card, though.
And get off some of these Phoenixes, but not having to worry about the Cerberus.
Okay, come on. What?
Are responding to what you said. If
Ha
I could do the Waluigi wah, that'd be the perfect moment right there.
Give it a shot.
I can't. I already know for a fact that I can. I'm not going to do it.
I'll do it if you do it. Ready?
No, but you can actually do it properly. Like, that actually sounds like Waluigi.
Let's hear it, Taco. Totally did the Ho-Yi.
Wah.
See, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. There's a Waluigi inside of all of us, folks. But he uses the beats, no problem.
Do you remember that song, Roll Out? Roll Out, you can't stop that.
So much money. We're in Atlanta-based studios, ladies and gentlemen. So shout-outs to Ludacris, I guess. I really have no idea where Finch came up with that. So give a shout-outs to him and shout-outs to Joe. So really interesting stuff here in week number 6. We're down to the wire. Teams trying to get up to land. And let's take a look at how those teams are going to get there. So North America, as we said, a little bit more cut and dry. It's pretty much just, well, United. Congrats, Polar Bear Mike. I'll see you later. But Space Station, they have to win against Splice. For Splice, they have to beat Space Station 2-0 and hope that they stomp over CLG as well. Europe, a little bit more intense. Energy just have to win any match. See you later. Or Rival, kind of the same idea. Win a single game. They don't even have to win the set, folks. If they win a single game, their plus-minus differential, good enough. Now you look at Team Dignitas, and this is a little bit more of a stretch. They have to beat 2-0 SK, which is easy. They have to hope that Mouse drops a game, which is a little bit less easy, but still there. Rival losing 2-0 to Obey, not likely. And then we're really down to the gutter. Mouse, I love you guys. Probably a little bit too little, too late. Are you beating Energy 2-0? Obey Alliance, on the other hand, 2-0 Rival, not happening. 2-0 Mouse, also likely not happening. So very interesting up there in Europe. A lot of potentials, a lot of technicallys, a lot of almosts, but almost no absolutelys. More like North America, where we're, like I said, I'm going to go hang out with Polar Bear Mike. Should be a lot of fun. That's the Pro League, though. Console has also been very exciting. I think one of the most important things to note is that Bob E is back on the scene. We've got a really fantastic thing going on as far as where he's headed. He used to be on a great team that won the World Championship. Inbound won with Myth, and then Astral at the time was kind of the top team, so it's very surprising to a lot of people to see his squad go ahead and take the victory. Now, in the new season, Astral was still doing well, and Myth kind of mixed up, and everybody was just kind of
For a commentator here, I was uncomfortable. It looked like nobody was really in their spot, looked like nobody was really doing what they needed to do. And now that Bobby is on Astral Authority, it now looks like there's one true leader. The standings are a little bit different, but I think Astral Authority can be this #1 team despite how strong Flashpoint has been. I think that Inbound coming into AA is exactly what they need. Historically, this team has succeeded off of fantastic leadership like Elbro Chacho, and unfortunately, him and the team split ways, and they were good, but not great. They were operating like a chicken with its head cut off. Now, they've kind of got that head back. Bobby's going to be a big deal for this team. I think there's a lot to be said about the mental side of the game and the leadership side of the game, and I think Bobby is going to be an absolute big part of that. So all you Astral Authority fans that were kind of putting your jerseys away, bring them back out. Bobby's going to bring your team back to the top. Global Series has been very interesting as well. We just recently Black Dragons are going to be coming back to LAN, and usually they come with Nocturnes. Nocturnes has been looking absolutely fantastic. Their play looked lights out. So again, the orange team just turning things up. You should never take these guys out. Look at SMITEPro over here. I mean, this is from the some of the most recent matches that we've seen, and this Circuit, this is just solid, good play. A lot of times I hear people talking bad about these teams and saying, oh, they're just not very good and this, that, or third. In a vacuum, these teams are fantastic, and every time they come to LAN, we see them improve. SMITEPro, a great player in his own right, and I think that's what we've seen the past couple of splits. Coming again here to Summer Split, again next to Black Dragons, coming from Brazil, should be very interesting for the Latin American players. All in all, a lot of fun. Week number 6. I'm glad I got to hang out here in place of Aggro. Unfortunately, he will be coming back. I do have to say something. I made a joke before that he likes mayonnaise. Aggro actually doesn't like sauce of any kind. He eats his sandwiches dry, and you should make fun of him for it. Hindu and Taco had some decent predictions. It was a lot of fun. Toli even got some things going on. And the goatee is back. That's really excellent. Recently, I had a friend who got in some trouble. He's right over there. Do we have the... there's no shot that actually shows that this is unfair. This is unfair. My bear got hurt, and I fixed him. But now he doesn't look fixed. They made a video about me and my bear. If you guys watch Esports Weekly, or SPL Happen, rather, you guys are familiar with them. Let's just roll the video. Hey, today, June 26th, SPL happened, and here's what. We ended the day with SK getting beat up by Obey. Hooray. But we started the day, Mouse beating up Dignitas. $18.99 home decor from Hobby Lobby, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I just, that's my dude. What's up, bruh? You good? You chilling? Go check this out. I just showed him a picture of him.